I am the host of Jesus and Justice with Dr. Tiff. My show unpacks societal issues aligning with the teachings of Christ. In the words of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., our lives begin to end the day we become silent about things that matter. Make sure that you download Jesus. Ladies and gentlemen, hi, and welcome to Jesus and Justice with Dr. Tiff. I'm your host, Dr. Tiffany M. Lloyd, but you can call me Dr. Tiff. This is the day that the Lord has made, and let us rejoice and be glad in it. From around the world, if you are watching me on the V Network, hello to you. If you're watching me on Facebook Live, hello to you, and please share. If you're watching me on YouTube, hello YouTube. Make sure that you subscribe to my YouTube channel at Jesus and Justice with Dr. Tiff. And Jesus and Justice with Dr. Tiff has his own podcast. Make sure that you listen to Jesus and Justice with Dr. Tiff podcast wherever you listen to your podcast. We have an amazing show today. We have with us my friend for over 20 years, Dr. Timothy Queen, and we have a lot to talk about. But before we do anything, let's start with a word of prayer. Heavenly Father, you are so great and so worthy to be praised. God, we bless your holy name. God, we love you. We honor you. We magnify you. We adore you. God, I thank you for every viewer, for every listener, for every subscriber, for every follower, God. God, I ask you that you bless everyone that is under the sound of my voice. God, these are your children. You made them. You know all about them. Now, God, we decrease so that you can increase. And we ask you, God, that you take over this show. Let the words of my mouth and the meditation of my heart be acceptable in your sight. Bless my guest, Dr. Queen, God, in the name of Jesus, God. And we'll be so careful to give you all the praise, all the honor, and all of the glory. We ask these blessings in your son, Jesus' name we pray. We love you, Lord. Amen. Well, I will be back with my Tiff Talk. But ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, I present to you Dr. Timothy Queen. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Jesus and Justice with Dr. Tiff. I have with me my friend for over 20 years, right? So he is from Natchez, Mississippi. I was actually born in Natchez, Mississippi at Jefferson Davis Hospital.
Yeah.
And I am from Faraday, Louisiana, which is right across the bridge. We were cheerleaders together at Alcorn State University. We have been rocking since the year 2000, 22-year friendship, going on 23-year friendship, and I wouldn't trade him for the world. I am so proud of him and cannot wait to dive into this conversation. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome Dr. Timothy Queen. How are you, my friend?
I'm doing good, Tiff. It's so much that I can say about you from sharing at Alcorn, but look at God. We have done what we said. Mm-hmm. And I'm just grateful. I am so grateful right now. But thank you so much for the invitation. I appreciate you so much. You know, I love you unconditionally. And I love the work you do. You know, I said I wasn't going to say this, Till, but, you know, when one of us mess up, you know, we're going to call somebody. We're going to call one of us.
Right.
And recently, probably a couple of months ago, I believe I called you and told you, I said, Tiff, I don't like this thing. And those are the type of friends that you need, you know, because in the day and time that we're living in now, those are the type of friends. And, you know, although we have a disagreement, but I still love you unconditionally. And thank you so much for the invitation, sis.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, I think it was more so of a misunderstanding. And when we finished the conversation, we both were on the same page, like, oh, you know, but here's the thing. I don't want friends in my life that's going to tell me everything that I want to hear, right? Because those are not true friends, right? Absolutely. I think that when you truly love a person, it is your job to tell them what they need to hear, not what they want to hear. You know, when you have a true friendship for nearly 22, 23 years, it's not realistic that you're not going to have some disagreements. I mean, it's just like when you have a child, your child or you're not going to agree with your parents all the time, brothers and sisters. And so I think with us, it's more so like a brother-sister type relationship, because I mean, a 23-year friendship, you've had your ups, you had your downs. And
you do not see that anywhere.
Right. Like, you know, we laughed together, we cried together.
You're right. And I wanted a peppermint together.
Right.
when we were at camp. when we were at camp, well, where were we?
We
We
were
were
in
at
Jacksonville. I think it was somewhere
in
in Florida,
Jacksonville,
like
Florida.
Jacksonville, Florida.
And let me tell your viewers. Okay, so I graduated from high school. I know, right? 2000 from Natchez High School, and I wanted to go to Alcorn, and this is going to go somewhere towards the end of this podcast. So please follow along with us. But I started Alcorn. I tried out for cheerleader.
We had like 3 coaches.
No, I'm saying the first one was that
it was either Miss Tillman or Miss Broomfield. It was
it was Miss Tillman. It was Miss Tillman. I tried out with Miss Tillman, and I went to Jacksonville, Florida, with Alcorn State University cheerleading, and I just graduated from school. I didn't know anything about school. I did not have a father figure in my life at the time, or anybody to, like, a mentor or something to show me where to go. So I went to the school. We went to camp. They said I acted a fool at camp. I really enjoyed cheerleading camp. And 2002 was my first year going there. And I ended up coming, after we came back from camp, I found out that apparently my ACT scores wasn't high enough to continue at Alcorn. So I had to go to a community college. So I went to Copiling Community. Although I went to Jacksonville, Florida on Alcorn expense because they paid for the trip. But I was not accepted. For long story short, 2 years later, I graduated with my associates from Copiling Community College, and I ended up coming to Alcorn. And then I did not get a chance to cheer with you, Tiffany, because by the time I did come to Alcorn, you were you had another vision. You became Miss Alcorn State University.
That's right.
Yes, ma'am. You became Miss Alcorn. So, but I thank God for that experience of doing that too.
Absolutely.
But I know you have questions. I just want to share with your viewers on our background. And Tiffany, I'm gonna tell y'all this, and I'm gonna let her ask me questions. But we had a conversation, Tiffany and I, and a couple more of our squad mates had a conversation back in 2000, and we talked about the Eiffel Tower, and we had a long day of stunting all day. We were at camp, and Tiffany was like, and my squad mates, Jessica can tell you, Tiffany was like, the Eiffel Tower is in New York. I say, Tiffany, the Eiffel Tower is in New York? Like, are you serious? Do you remember you said that? You said the Eiffel Tower was in New York, and we laughed about that, and we still laugh about it.
We are, because we all was so, let me tell y'all, this is still, I cannot believe you did this. But in my defense, we were so delirious from cheer camp. And there was one particular cheerleader. Hold on, there was one particular cheerleader we were so mad at because we all were so excited.
You talking about
because the cheer coach.
You talking about
No.
Okay.
This was a female cheerleader. We was all so excited because they said cheerleading camp was going to end early, and we were going to go to the mall, we were going to go to the beach, we were going to go everywhere. And so she started talking about her ankle, and we was like, girl, wrap that up. Girl, wrap that up. And she was like, no, guys, I really need to go to the emergency room. We was like, girl, we about to go to the mall. You better get your
I was over that.
So
I was over it.
And then so then they was like, well, she says that she really needs to go. We were at the emergency room for 6 hours, and the doctor said, oh, it's just a little sprain. We have changed. Don't count this against us. We were 17, 18 years old. We all wanted to fight this girl because we wanted to go to the mall so bad. We wanted to go on the beach. But in my defense, like the Eiffel Tower, we were delirious. We had no sleep. One of them, I think that was Kim Fry. What did she say? She said it was Tuscaloosa
I don't know what Kim said, but I know the girl that got hurt, Cicely. So Cicely, if you're listening, girl,
Listen, we were mad at you.
We was mad at you, girl. but those moments there, Dr. Tiff, I would not cherish. I would not take those for granted. Mm-mm. Those moments built me to the person that I am today, and absolutely. I love you guys so. I love y'all so much. Y'all do not understand. And even from us being you and I, and I want your viewers to know, we in cheerleading is something that's called Cheer-Fi. Mm-hmm. And in 2002, in 2002, we started Cheer-Side because we wanted Cheer-Side to be something different, not like any other schools that have Cheer-Fi. So we started Cheer-Side. And I'm proud to say when I was the head cheerleading coach at Kentucky State University from 2018 to 2021, I created the beta chapter of Cheer-Side. So Alcorn's the alpha chapter and Kentucky State's the beta chapter. And I'm just so grateful that that students in Kentucky is learning about Tiffany Monique Lloyd. You know, I know Tiffany Monique Lloyd. So they're learning about it, and I am so grateful.
And the Eiffel Tower thing, it's been 22 years. And even when I come back for homecoming, when I talk to Jessica, when I talk to the other ones, that is like the legendary statement about the Eiffel Tower. I know where the Eiffel Tower is, y'all. I was delirious that day. I was like 17 years old. But let's dive into the conversation.
Oh my God.
How does God play a role in your life? What is, you know, how does you've accomplished so much? How does God play a role in your life?
Tiffany, Dr. Tiff, I grew up in Fayette, Mississippi. My family moved to Natchez, Mississippi in 1996. And I'm going to tell you how God played a role in my life. Mm-hmm. My cousin, Ray Queen, he mentioned this at my 40th celebration, in my doctoral celebration on my birthday, July. And a lot of people was against it. And I wanted to share this so that the people can hear me say it. When I was elementary, junior high school, I was in special ed. That's something that I'm not proud of, but it shows a lot of the person who I am. And when I moved to Natchez, I ended up getting in regular ed, and I graduated from Natchez High School. I ended up being Natchez High School class of 2000 president. Mm-hmm. And I ended up going to Alcorn State University, where Colin first. I went to Colin first, and I graduated in 2002. In 2002, I came to Alcorn and I cheered all my years. I became the captain my senior year. Mm-hmm. And I graduated. My college roommate and best friend, got brother, Jason Smith. He's an alpha, unfortunately. But, we got a chance to build a bond there. And just thinking about my college years has been spectacular. And when I graduated from college, in 2005, I ended up moving to Memphis. I moved to Memphis. A traumatic thing happened in Memphis. And I remember calling my grandmother during that time. And, one thing about your grandmothers know your heart. And I ended up calling her, and I stayed in Memphis for 2 years. And right after I graduated from Alcorn, I moved to Virginia Beach with my cousin Daphne. Then I moved to Memphis because my best friend Daphne, another Daphne, was in Memphis. And I ended up moving back to Fayette. And when I was a little child, I wanted to be an educator. And I'm going somewhere with this because you asked how God has played a role in my life. Mm-hmm. And when I moved back to Mississippi in 2007, I got into education. And from being in education in 2007, I was reminded when I was little, my cousin Daphne, Kim, Courtney, Lance, we used to always play school. And I was a teacher at that time. And I started in 2007. I was not certified, and I started in 2007 as a teacher's assistant. As I became a teacher assistant, I was in Fayette for 3 years. In 2011, which was my fraternity centennial year, I ended up becoming certified. And I ended up moving to Jackson, Mississippi. And I taught at the Address of Excellence, Walton Elementary School, for 5 years. And from teaching at Walton, I continued, I wanted to go higher. And my best friend, Pookie, was living in Atlanta. So I applied to some jobs in Atlanta, and I ended up years. And when I was in Atlanta, even when I was in Jackson and when I was in Atlanta, I know God and I have a relationship. And when things start to go wrong, I identify those things, and that means that God have my assignment another place. And I ended up moving to Atlanta, and I taught in Atlanta. Never thought that I would teach in a big school district like that for 3 years. And one night I was sitting on my porch. I think it was August 17th of 2018. I was sitting on my porch, and the athletic director at the time, ATM Thomas, reached out to me because our former president, Dr. Christopher Brown, was the president at Kentucky State University. And from her emailing me at that particular night, she said, "We heard about you." I think Justice Mattis, you remember him? He told Dr. Brown about me, and I got the head cheerleading coach job at Kentucky State University without an interview or anything. I ended up getting a job there. And from Kentucky State University, I ended up, Dr. Brown ended up leaving, and I was terminated. Kentucky State is an at-will state, so I ended up getting terminated, and I love cheerleading. That's my passion. We cheered together in college, and I had to end up moving back, and my line brother, Dr. Adrian Hammond, told me to come home, and he had something for me, and I am now the ELA interventionist at Jefferson County Upper Elementary. I'm proud to announce that from my arrival, when I first made it there, the school was an F school. Now we have progressed to a C status. As an interventionist, I work with a lot of students that's struggling. I think that's where the conversation is going to go tonight, but I work with those particular type of students. I wanted to be a cheerleading coach, but God saw something else. And, you and I talked, I applied for Alcorn head cheerleading coach position, and things happened on that situation. And, we already talked about it. We're not going to talk online, but it was saying that they had a better candidate. And, I felt some type of way last year, Tiffany, this year, it really hurt my heart because at Kentucky State, I changed an entire program around. And how God has been to me is to know that everything that I just said and everything that I went through, God still loved me and look out for me. I'm not the same person I was 23 years ago. It's to you at this time, and to be at this point. In 2020, I lost my best friend, Cody McGrew. And we talked about moments of losing someone. And for God to have me here 40 years, he is more than amazing. He is the one that when I walk outside the door, I can just smell the fragrance of his earth. I can see the green grass. I can hear the birds chirping. That's the type of God that I serve. So what he is to me, he is no words. Go ahead, next question. No words.
This is how Dr. Queen and our conversations always go. But you talked about being an ELA interventionist, and I want people to, I want to talk about this. So is a learning deficiency equivalent to a diagnosis, or they can be totally different things?
Me personally, and I know other practitioners and other researchers will probably identify a student that needed intervention with a diagnosis and a deficiency is different. I believe that it's different because we definitely have to meet students where they are. And when we begin to meet students where they are, if I have a room of students that I am intervening with, because the purpose of being an interventionist is to dissect what is actually wrong with the student. And every student cannot learn on their own. When I was in grade school, I could not learn on my own. They put me in special ed, and because they did not want to deal with the way I learned. And we have to meet the students where they are. Some students will, I'm the ELA interventionist, so some students will have an issue with vocabulary. If they have an issue with vocabulary, that means that they need to be intervened on vocabulary. If they have an issue with informational text, they need to have that informational text. But the students that we're having, especially after COVID happened, is the foundational skills. I'm working with 5th and 6th grade. We have foundation school. We have 5th and 6th grade students, and this is across the nation. That's in the 5th and 6th grade. That's probably reading on a 1st or 2nd grade level. So they missed. COVID happened what 2018, so probably 2 years. They were probably 3rd grade around that time. They missed it. So we cannot say that a student cannot learn, because here I am at the age of 40. I never thought that I would be a doctor. I never thought. The acting president at the time and my cohort member, and you know her, she invited you to Kentucky State University. I want to give a shout out to them. But Dr. Clara Stamps, I sent her some stuff. I was like, Dr. Stamps, like, am I doing this right? You know, because I was doubting myself. And as we begin to doubt ourselves, we like put a hedge over us because we're doubting ourselves. And Dr. Stamps, like, Tim, you're doing this. Like, this is you. And I never would have thought that, because what I remembered when I was in grade school, because I did not have an opportunity. I did not.
So when you look at the school systems, not just in Jefferson County, but across the nation, you know, we do see a lot of struggling school systems. What do you think is the problem of why our school systems are failing our children? And when I make this statement, I know that there are great school systems, you know, public school systems that are wonderful, doing great things, but we have to be honest. There are a lot of schools. I'm from Faraday, so Faraday has had some F schools before. So what are we doing to fail our students, and what can we do to remedy this problem?
I know you said before that we're going to be honest.
Yeah.
And this is Dr. Queen talking in reference to what's going on. A lot of school districts, and this is personally, and well, not personally, but a lot of school districts have the wrong people in place. And what I mean by the wrong people in place is that we have people that's in these particular positions that do not have the students' best interests at heart. One thing that we do at Jefferson County Upper Elementary is that our main focus and our main goal are our students. I am the ELA interventionist. So if we started, and I hope my line brother, which is the superintendent of education, don't get on me, but Jefferson County Upper Elementary started this school year from an accountability rating of 212. That was an F school. This year, we are projected to be around 350, 340 something. That moved from an F to a C. And that goes to the MTSS process, which I am the chair of the MTSS process. And that's how we diagnose what the students really need. You have to see what the students need. Like as educators, we cannot go to these schools and just go there for a paycheck, because the students is who we are, who we need. The students are the ones that give us the money, and we need to be there for the students. Our main focus should be students.
Absolutely.
And our scholars. Because anything that comes from like a doctor, a lawyer, an engineer, a teacher teaches them. The teacher is the main focus of your life. I still remember my kindergarten teacher.
Yeah.
She taught me certain things that I have. My baby Ariana, she's 2 years old. She'll be 3 this year. And she know a lot of information. She know all the books of the Bible at 2 years old. I don't know them. But we actually had a professional development today about dyslexia and things of that nature. And we just can't label these kids. We have to really see what is the issue and find a solution to do it. But the people that is in the positions to do these things, they're not really there to do. I remember seeing the first teacher certificate of an African-American woman that was excited that she became a certified teacher. But you have these people that are certified that's in this profession for the wrong reason.
Why do you see so many teachers now leaving? There's a shortage across the nation. Why do you think they're literally begging people to come? It's easy now to get a teaching job and you don't even have to be certified. I mean, some school districts are giving $10,000 bonuses, $5,000 bonuses. Why do you think that people are leaving? And I do think that some of it has to do with COVID, but we can't blame everything on COVID.
I'm telling you this. I love CNN. I looked in Houston and I saw a lot of schools. It's like 800 and something vacancies in Houston. Teacher vacancies. And I believe that the teachers are leaving because when I was in school, when we were in school, Dr. Tiff, we had like back in the day, we always coined this phrase, it takes a village. It's not that village. The scholars are coming in the classroom. It's like the parents are against the teachers. And I'm not saying that the parents are against the teachers, but that's the way it looks. And a lot of teachers don't want to deal with the stress. It's a lot of stress. Right now, it's a lot of paperwork. Back in the 30s, 40s, 50s, it wasn't all the different paperwork, but the teachers are leaving, I believe, this is my personal opinion, is because like now they are getting graded on how they're performing in the classroom, which is understandable because you have to get graded. Like this year, like I have students that I have to make sure that they progress. So what happened when that child don't progress? That's where you have to go out to the homes. That's where you have to go out to the community to let the parents know that we need your help to make sure that our students are moving. Because what the students are learning in school, when they get home, it's something totally different. You have to think about a child that mother has abandoned that child. And you have to think about how that child guardian is cursing them out. But they come there and they deal with anger. We had a professional development today about emotional distress. Our young kids are very emotional.
Yeah, they are.
They are very, very emotional, and they deal with so much. We have not dealt with so much that our kids are dealing with right now. I never would have imagined. You and I cheered together, Tiffany, in college. You know, I was the head cheerleading coach at Kentucky State. And I have respect from his mom and to do this. But one of my cheerleaders, the same year that I left, I saw him in June of that year. He committed suicide.
Oh my God.
Suicide. And you think about these things, about what our students are dealing with. You can't label these students. And if you begin to label the students, they are like, we don't understand what they have going on at home.
Right. Because I always say, when you see some of these kids acting out, I think that kids act out because they're crying out for help. They're crying out for love. They're crying out for attention. A lot of times that class clown is probably not getting any attention at home. She may face at home. That young boy who seems angry at school, we don't know. Kids are being called stupid. You're no good just like your daddy. You're no good just like your mama. You ain't gonna be nothing, XYZ. So we don't know the challenges that, you know, these kids go through. We got about 10 minutes left, and I want to segue into this. You talked about how you were in special ed, but my God, you are Dr. Timothy Queen. And I want to talk about adversity and how you overcame that for the next 9 minutes that we have left. Talk about the challenges. A lot of people don't know your story. You lost 3 people on this, or more, I think, going through this journey of working on your doctorate degree and including a parent. Can you talk about adversity and how you overcame these challenges?
In 2019, I started a program at the illustrious Morehead State University, predominantly white institution. Never thought that I would get accepted, but in 2018, I became the head children coach at Kentucky State University. And Dr. Brown signed a MOU with Morehead State University. And that means that Kentucky State and Morehead had a partnership. So they paid for me to go to school there. I was depleted from all of my funds that I had to do to go to school. So I was working there for 2 years. My last year, I was terminated, which I mentioned earlier. And I was like, Lord, I really want to do this. I don't have any more funds. But thanks to President Biden with the COVID Relief Fund, they paid for my fall semester. Morehead had that. And then the second semester, my last semester, which was spring of this year, they paid, they had a cap on it. So they paid a certain amount of dollars. And I had to pay $720. Wow. And whatever it was to do, I struggled and I made it happen. And I paid the $720. And I told my dad, as he was on his deathbed, that my dad died June 12th of 2021. My best friend passed on November 24th of 2020. My aunt passed January 31st of 2021. My sister passed on March 4th, 2021. I dealt with so much during that particular time. And each semester that I lost someone, I still maintained a 4.0. Wow. Like it does not matter. And I'm not going to cry, because I know that if you are to live of a woman, you are sure to die. And that's one thing that my mom always taught me. And I lost so many people during those particular times, but I still had my mind on one thing. And I prayed to God, and I was like, God, I don't have $3,000 to do in the fall, $3,000 in the spring. Then boom, COVID happened. People say they're against COVID. COVID was a blessing for me because I was able to do that. Did I have the $720 to pay what I had to pay? No, I did not. But my God provided those funds for me to do it. I thank Kentucky State University to the bottom of my heart, because I did not have the money to go and continue. I wanted to be a doctor. All my line brothers becoming doctors, and I wanted to be a doctor, but I did not want to move from Atlanta. But God said, move. And this woman emailed me late, like 11 o'clock at night. I was like, oh, this is so unprofessional. 11 o'clock at night. And Kentucky State sent me there 3 times flying. And I was like, God, I'm moving because I'm going on assignment. When I got terminated, my line brother told me to come back here. And I talked to my cousin, Kim Burton. And I always tell her, I was in Kentucky on assignment. I was in Atlanta on assignment. Do I want to be back in Fayette, Mississippi? No, I don't. But I'm here on assignment. And as God continues to lead me, I'm going to continue to elevate him in everything that I do. Yes. Because it was because of him that I was able to finish my doctoral degree. one thing that nobody can take from me is that I'm Dr. Timothy Dion Queen. That's it. Because you have to keep your mind on your goal. If you don't keep your mind on your goal, it's going to flourish. It's going to go away. Mm-hmm. And I thank God, like that's how God has that testimony. I never would have thought it. I went to try to get my specialist back at Alcorn. I don't know why I was trying to do business. Girl, I had got all else that year. So I lost all my money. I didn't have no money to do anything. But in 2018, I was the last person to submit an application. And Tiffany, God just brought it to me. You wrote me a letter and say that he would be a good candidate for your program.
Wow. And
you wrote me a letter. I was the last person because I didn't know about it. You know, when you're on college campuses, they have cliques and stuff, so I didn't know about it. But you wrote me a letter. My line brother wrote me a letter. And they accepted me. In 2019, I got a seat in one class. And I think that was intro to adult and higher education. You can't get a seat in doctoral programs. Mm. My chair, Dr. Tan, sent me a letter saying, you have to take this class back over. If not, we're going to kick you out of the program. And since then, I've got nothing but A's. I focused. Even in the midst of me losing my job, I moved back to Mississippi and I still maintain the 4.0. Mm-hmm.
And it just goes to show to anybody out there that's listening, no matter what you're going through, you can make it. You can make it. He didn't have the money, but God provided the $720. He was terminated from his job, but immediately he had someone that was watching him and saw the work that he was doing and said, come on home. May not be the ideal situation the same day. So what the devil meant for evil, God means it for our good. And that's why you have to let God protect you in all things. And left. And so I want you to just take this minute and a half to just minister to the people and to encourage the people out there about challenges. People are still hurting, man. COVID is still going on, monkeypox going on, polio, so much stuff is going on in this world. Some people still haven't bounced back from COVID, losing jobs. And we know that inflation is there's an inflation. People are getting evicted. Houses are in foreclosure. Give our people an encouraging word out there.
When I tell you guys that God is an amazing God, yes, I had to house someone last night. They have 7 kids that lights were off. And I thank God that although he moved me back here, I was able to house them. I just purchased a big house. And whatever you're going through, please understand that God is just a prayer away. Yes. Prayer is the key to everything. God will give you the desires of your heart if you give him you. He won't fool you. Like tonight, I was naked. And I know that's not a good word, but I was naked with you guys to let you know about Dr. Timothy Queen. So you have to get naked with God and let him know what you want. Don't sugarcoat, because guess what? He already knows what you want. Stay prayerful. Believe and trust in him. I would have never imagined that I am right now. But it is because of God, because I come from a praying family. And my family reared me to know Jesus. And Jesus is the reason for everything. And in everything I do, I give him thanks. And that's all I have to say. If you don't have Jesus, you don't have nobody. That's all I'm saying.
If you got Jesus, you got everything that you need. You're going to have to come back on Jesus and Justice with Dr. Tiff. This has been a powerful conversation. We're going to have to do a part 2. Thank you so much, Tim. I appreciate you. I appreciate you, although you threw me under the bus with the Eiffel Tower. That was too funny. But I truly admire you. You have been through so much, and to see God just elevate in your life. And this is what I want to say to anyone out there. They said that he was supposed to be in special ed, and now he's a doctor. And all I can think about is Psalms 23, how God would prepare a table before you in the presence of your enemies.
Lord. Yes,
all
Lord.
those people who said that you were not supposed to be nothing, that you couldn't learn, that you couldn't get no degree. Yes. It was impossible for you to become a doctor. Look at you now. God has elevated you. He has. Wow, what an amazing and funny interview with Dr. Timothy Queen. First of all, ladies and gentlemen, I did not know that story about the iPhone. We were 17, 18 years old at the time. We were delirious. You're talking about we were at cheer camp for over 10 hours. I don't even remember that story. I don't even remember saying that, but I do know that the Eiffel Tower is in Paris, France. There you go. The Eiffel Tower is in Paris, France, not New York. I don't even remember saying that, but if I did say it, I was strictly delirious or I didn't hear what they were saying. But anyway, but thank you to Dr. Timothy Queen. Listen, he has a powerful testimony. Listen at that. He was placed in special education, and now he is Dr. Timothy Queen. I remember when I was in Head Start, my Head Start teacher told my mother that I needed to be put in special education because I didn't talk, and she didn't think that I would progress in the regular classroom. And I'm so glad that my mother did not listen to that teacher. And I agree with Dr. Queen is that we have to stop giving our own diagnosis to these children. Listen, I'm a college professor, and even as a college professor, every student learns differently. Every class is different. My technique in one class may be different than a technique that I use in another class. So about PowerPoint, some students don't learn well through PowerPoint. Some students learn well by engagement, by talking, conversing. And listen, I want teachers to understand also that just because a student receives an A or passes your class, that does not mean that learning has taken place. And at the end of the day, I do agree with Dr. Queen that if your goal is, if your mindset is that I'm just going there to get a paycheck, you're in the wrong field. Because sometimes these kids, the only hug that they get is at school. The only meal that they get is at school. The only type of encouragement that they get is at school. Yes, the foundation should start at home. But you and I both know that we don't live in a perfect world. And everyone doesn't come from a background or a household where they have that foundation. Some parents don't take their kids to church. Some parents have never introduced their kids to Jesus Christ. Some parents are in the business of being their child's being a parent. And as parents out there, listen, you cannot be your child's friend. Yes, you can have a balance of making your child feel comfortable to talk to you about any and everything, because you would rather for your child to talk to you than someone else on the street. But you cannot be your child's friend, because once you have crossed that line, it is hard to gain back that respect. Your child would just look at you as just your friend. And I do believe that we do our children a disservice when you give children everything that they want, even if you can't afford it. This is not about if you can afford it or not afford it. Life doesn't work that way. And children have to understand that in life, you're going to be told no. And so I don't think that it's in the best interest of a child to give a child every single thing that they want. And here's the other thing. I don't believe in rewarding kids for something that they're supposed to do. I shouldn't have to reward you for acting right. You're supposed to act right. You know, there's nothing wrong with, celebrating children. I believe in that. But with the small things of, well, if you be good and if you don't act bad, I don't believe in that, because that's something that a child is supposed to do. That's just my opinion. That doesn't mean that I'm right about it, but I just don't believe the way that I was raised. We shouldn't be rewarding somebody for something that they are supposed to do. Just like sometimes, parents don't get mad at me, when we sometimes throw in kids' faces, but I did this, I did that, I did this, I did that, but I feed you, I do. Yes, that's true. But isn't that your job as a mother? Isn't that your job as a father? To care for your children, to protect your children, to feed them, to clothe them? Is that not your job? So I think that we have to stop throwing in people's faces what we do and feel like it should be a badge of honor, because that's something that we are supposed to do. Now, I believe that what you do for your children after 18, that's a bonus. You're doing that because you want to do it. That's not something that you have to do. And I celebrate, parents. I celebrate my mom. My mom has been there for me after the age of 18. But children are not asked to be born into this world. And I do think that teachers and the community, that we have to stop being in a rush of, giving these kids a diagnosis. Everybody don't need to be in special ed. Sometimes they just need somebody to be patient with them. Isn't it funny that we live in the United States of America and we cannot promise our children a quality education? We can't promise them a roof on their head, or clothes on their back, or food on the table, but we can promise them a jail cell if they mess up. And there is something wrong with that. Teachers, you are commended. You are to be celebrated. I know we're starting back school. Some school systems have already started back. My thoughts and prayers are with you, because being a teacher is not an easy job. I'm on the collegiate level. And in the collegiate level is not always the easiest task, but my heart goes out to teachers that teach pre-K through 12th grade, because I know that you're underpaid. Sometimes you don't have the resources that you need. So I want to tell you that you are in the most noble profession, and I celebrate you. But going to what Dr. Queen says, isn't it something that man said one thing, but God had another plan? So that's why I always tell people, man doesn't have the final say so. Man thought he had the final say so when the lady told my mother I need to be put in special ed. Man thought that he had the final say so when they put Dr. Queen in special ed. But look at us now. We are both doctors. Don't tell me what God can do. Don't you allow what people say about you to determine your destiny. People don't have a heaven nor a hell to put you in. People don't. What does God say about you? What do you say about yourself? Because one thing that I love about God is that when people have said no, God has said yes. When people have closed doors in my face, God has opened up new doors. When people thought that they were getting the best of me, God prepared a table before me in the presence of my enemies. So don't tell me what God can't do. I cannot wait for next week's show. Meet me back right here every Tuesday at 6 a.m. We have prayer call. You can check all of Dr. Tiff pages, the Jesus and Justice pages. I would love to pray with you and for you every Tuesday at 6 a.m. Central Standard Time. Make sure you follow me on Instagram at Tiffany.m.Lloyd. Make sure you follow me on Facebook at Dr. Tiffany M. Lloyd. Make sure that you subscribe to my YouTube channel at Jesus and Justice with Dr. Tiff. And I am part of the V Network TV. Make sure that you go and follow V Network TV. We're on Roku, so many other streaming services. I'm so excited to be a part of the V Network TV. If this has been a blessing to you, please donate via Cash App at $Jesus and Justice, $Jesus and Justice. I will be speaking in Faraday, Louisiana tonight at 6 p.m. at Faraday High School with a Unity in the Community rally. Please pray for me as I give a word to the people of God, give a word to my community, my home, asked to come back home and speak. So we'll be right back at it live on next Saturday, God's willing, at 4 p.m. Central Standard Time. I'm Dr. Tiff. May God bless you, is my prayer.
Ladies and gentlemen, hi. This is Dr. Tiffany M. Lloyd, but you can call me Dr. Tiff. I am the host of Jesus and Justice with Dr. Tiff. My show unpacks societal issues aligning with the teachings of Christ. In the words of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., our lives begin to end the day we become silent about things that matter. Make sure that you download Jesus and Justice with Dr. Tiff podcast on all platforms.